The throne room fell silent as Ambassador Kane stepped forward, his boots echoing against marble floors that had witnessed centuries of diplomatic ceremonies. Queen Helena watched from her elevated seat, her fingers gripping the armrests with barely controlled tension. The visiting delegation from the Terran Commonwealth had requested this formal audience, claiming urgent matters of interstellar relations. Princess Lydia stood beside the throne, her ceremonial gown rustling softly as she shifted her weight. At 19, she represented everything the alien dignitaries had come to expect from human royalty: grace, intelligence, and the promise of future alliances. The ambassador's eyes swept across the assembled court, taking in the nobles who waited with practiced patience. "Your Majesty," Kane began, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to addressing heads of state. "The Commonwealth has deliberated extensively regarding the proposed marriage alliance between Princess Lydia and Crown Prince Vex of the Centauri Empire." The Queen's jaw tightened imperceptibly. Months of delicate negotiations had led to this moment, where political necessity would determine her daughter's future. The Centauri offered technological advancement and military protection in exchange for legitimizing their expanding influence through royal bloodlines. Kane's expression remained neutral as he continued. "However, our reconnaissance teams have uncovered disturbing intelligence regarding Prince Vex's treatment of previous consorts. The Commonwealth cannot, in good conscience, endorse this union." Murmurs rippled through the assembled courtiers. Lord Chancellor Morrison stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in his measured response. "Ambassador Kane, surely the Commonwealth understands the strategic importance of this alliance. The Centauri fleet movements near our borders leave little room for alternatives." The ambassador nodded gravely, "which is precisely why the Commonwealth has prepared an alternative proposal, one that addresses both our security concerns and preserves Princess Lydia's well-being." Queen Helen leaned forward slightly, her royal composure masking the relief flooding through her. The reports about Prince Vex had reached her through unofficial channels, painting a picture of cruelty that had haunted her nights. Yet the kingdom's vulnerability to Centauri aggression had left few options. "The Commonwealth proposes a protective alliance through marriage to one of our own citizens," Kane announced. "Captain Daniel Hayes of the Commonwealth Guard. His service record is exemplary and his loyalty to both Earth and its allies is unquestionable." The suggestion sent shockwaves through the court. A commoner, regardless of military rank, marrying into the royal bloodline challenged centuries of tradition. Princess Lydia's eyes widened. Though whether from surprise or something else remained unclear, Kane gestured toward the entrance, where a figure in Commonwealth dress uniform waited. "Captain Hayes has volunteered for this duty, understanding both its political significance and personal responsibilities." Daniel Hayes stepped into view, his presence commanding attention without arrogance. His uniform bore the ribbons of someone who had earned respect through action rather than birthright. The princess studied him carefully, noting the intelligence in his eyes and the respectful distance he maintained from royal protocol. "This arrangement would provide the Commonwealth with formal ties to the monarchy while offering protection against Centauri expansion," Kane explained. "Captain Hayes' military background ensures he can adapt to royal security requirements." Queen Helena found herself caught between diplomatic necessity and maternal instinct. The Commonwealth's proposal offered genuine protection for her daughter, while maintaining the alliance structure their kingdom desperately needed. Yet the speed of this development left little time for careful consideration. Morrison cleared his throat diplomatically. "Ambassador, while we appreciate the Commonwealth's concern, such a significant departure from tradition requires extensive deliberation. Unfortunately, time is a luxury we cannot afford," Kane replied firmly. "Centauri intelligence suggests they plan to formalize their territorial claims within the week. Princess Lydia's marriage to Prince Vex would legitimize their expansion under imperial law." The weight of decision pressed down on the Queen's shoulders. Her daughter's future hung in the balance, caught between political expedience and personal safety. The assembled court waited for royal guidance, their own futures intertwined with whatever choice emerged from this unprecedented moment. Captain Hayes remained at attention, his presence both reassuring and unsettling. The princess glanced between her mother and the unexpected suitor who represented salvation, wrapped in uncertainty. The throne room's atmosphere grew thick with anticipation as Queen Helena prepared to speak words that would reshape their kingdom's destiny. The clock tower's chimes echoed through the palace, marking time that seemed simultaneously frozen and rushing toward inevitable change. Every eye focused on the throne, where a mother faced the impossible choice between tradition and survival. The Queen's voice cut through the silence with unexpected strength. "We will hear Captain Hayes speak for himself before any decision is rendered. If he truly volunteers for this unprecedented duty, let him demonstrate the character worthy of royal consideration." All attention shifted to the Commonwealth officer who held their future in his hands. His response would determine whether salvation came through sacrifice or if hope itself had finally arrived in uniform. Daniel stepped forward with measured confidence, his military bearing evident as he approached the throne. Protocol demanded he stop at the prescribed distance, yet something in his demeanor suggested he understood the gravity extending far beyond ceremonial requirements. The princess watched his approach with growing curiosity, noting how he carried himself without the arrogance she had observed in visiting nobility. "Your Majesty," Daniel began, his voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances, "I stand before you not as a political convenience, but as someone who recognizes the honor and responsibility being offered. Princess Lydia deserves protection, respect, and the freedom to shape her own destiny within whatever union serves the kingdom's needs." His words carried genuine conviction rather than rehearsed diplomacy. Queen Helena studied his expression, searching for signs of ambition or calculated advantage. Instead, she found something unexpected, sincerity coupled with understanding of what royal marriage truly entailed beyond romantic idealism. Princess Lydia stepped forward slightly, drawing surprised glances from the court. Royal protocol typically prevented direct interaction during formal proceedings, yet the circumstances had already shattered conventional boundaries. "Captain Hayes, do you understand the sacrifices required of someone joining the royal household?" "I understand that duty takes many forms, Your Highness," Daniel replied, meeting her eyes with respectful directness. "My service to the Commonwealth taught me that protecting others sometimes requires personal sacrifice. Boiled, the scale may be different, but the principle remains constant." Ambassador Kane observed the exchange with satisfaction. His intelligence reports on Captain Hayes had emphasized not just military competence, but emotional maturity rare among soldiers who achieved rank through battlefield promotion rather than political maneuvering. The Commonwealth needed this alliance to succeed on multiple levels, Lord Chancellor Morrison interjected carefully. "Captain, serving as royal consort involves more than personal sacrifice. The crown requires heirs, diplomatic representation, and unwavering loyalty to interests that may conflict with Commonwealth objectives. How do you reconcile these competing demands?" Daniel paused thoughtfully before responding. "Sir, loyalty means different things in different contexts. My oath to the Commonwealth includes protecting Earth's allies and supporting democratic principles. Marriage to Princess Lydia would extend that protection directly to the monarchy, while strengthening bonds between our governments. I see no conflict in serving both honors simultaneously." The honesty in his response impressed even skeptical courtiers. Prince Vex's representatives had offered flowery promises and strategic advantages, but their arrogance had made everyone uncomfortable. Captain Hayes presented himself as someone who understood service without diminishing the royal family's dignity. Queen Helena exchanged glances with her daughter, noting the princess's thoughtful expression. Months of dreading the Centauri marriage had prepared Lydia for political necessity, but this alternative offered something unprecedented, choice within duty rather than surrender to it. "Captain Hayes," the Queen said carefully, "assuming we proceed with this arrangement, what assurances can you provide regarding Princess Lydia's happiness and autonomy within the marriage?" Daniel's response came without hesitation. "Your Majesty, I believe marriage should be a partnership of equals, regardless of titles or political circumstances. Princess Lydia's intelligence, compassion, and dedication to the kingdom are evident to anyone who observes her public service. My role would be supporting those qualities, not constraining them." The princess felt something shift in her understanding of the situation. Every previous marriage prospect had emphasized what she could offer them: bloodline, political connections, strategic advantages. Captain Hayes spoke of supporting what she already was, rather than transforming her into someone else's vision. Morrison consulted quietly with other court officials while Ambassador Kane maintained diplomatic patience. The Centauri deadline loomed, but rushing this decision could create problems lasting generations, yet delay risked military consequences none of them wanted to face. The Commonwealth stands ready to formalize this arrangement immediately upon royal consent, Kane announced. Captain Hayes has already received approval from Commonwealth leadership, and our legal advisors have prepared documents ensuring Princess Lydia retains full royal status and privileges. Daniel added respectfully, "Your Highness, I want you to know that accepting this arrangement is entirely your choice. Political necessity brought us to this point, but any marriage should have the consent of both parties. If you need time to consider or prefer alternative solutions, I will respect that decision completely." His offer of genuine choice, even within political constraints, touched something in the princess that months of royal duty had nearly buried. The possibility of partnership rather than submission opened pathways she had stopped allowing herself to imagine. Queen Helena recognized the moment's significance. Her daughter's expression had shifted from resigned acceptance to cautious hope. The Commonwealth's proposal offered not just political salvation, but the chance for Lydia to find happiness within necessity rather than despite it. The throne room waited as three futures hung in balance: surrender to Centauri demands, Commonwealth protection through marriage, or dangerous independence that risked everything. The princess held the key to their kingdom's survival, and for the first time in months, that responsibility came with real choice rather than inevitable sacrifice. The silence stretched until Princess Lydia stepped forward, her decision forming with surprising clarity. Princess Lydia's movement toward Captain Hayes sent ripples of anticipation through the assembled court. Her decision would reshape not only her own future, but the delicate balance of power between multiple star systems. The weight of generations of royal tradition pressed against the necessity of survival in an increasingly dangerous galaxy. "Captain Hayes," she said, her voice carrying the authority inherited from centuries of royal breeding, "I appreciate your honesty and the respect you have shown for my autonomy in this matter. Too few men in my position have offered genuine choice rather than elegant demands." Daniel maintained his respectful stance while acknowledging her words with a slight nod. His military training had taught him to read people under pressure, and he recognized the princess was evaluating him as both a potential husband and a strategic ally. The combination required careful navigation of personal and political considerations. "However," Lydia continued, drawing sharp attention from every courtier present, "before I can consider this arrangement, I must understand the Commonwealth's long-term intentions regarding our kingdom's sovereignty. Marriage creates bonds that extend beyond personal relationships." Ambassador Kane stepped forward smoothly. "Princess, the Commonwealth has no desire to absorb your kingdom into our political structure. Our goal is mutual protection and shared prosperity through alliance rather than annexation. Captain Hayes' marriage would formalize existing cooperation rather than establish dominance." Queen Helena studied her daughter's questioning with growing pride. Despite months of pressure and uncertainty, Lydia had retained her ability to think strategically about consequences extending beyond immediate relief. The princess understood that trading Centauri control for Commonwealth supervision would merely change the nature of their dependency. Lord Chancellor Morrison seized the opportunity to raise crucial concerns. "Ambassador Kane, while we appreciate the Commonwealth's assurances, what guarantees do we have that Captain Hayes won't become a conduit for Commonwealth influence over royal decisions? The precedent of foreign-born consorts affecting policy is well documented throughout galactic history." Daniel spoke before Kane could respond. "Sir, my military service taught me the importance of respecting command structures while maintaining personal integrity. I would never presume to override Princess Lydia's judgment or the Crown's established authority. My role would be supportive, not directive." The princess studied his expression carefully. Political marriages often began with similar promises, only to evolve into power struggles as circumstances changed. Yet something in Captain Hayes' demeanor suggested he genuinely understood the difference between partnership and control. "Captain," Lydia said directly, "suppose our marriage produces heirs who inherit both royal blood and Commonwealth citizenship. How would you handle potential conflicts between their dual loyalties?" The question impressed everyone present with its sophistication. Daniel paused thoughtfully before answering. "Your Highness, I believe children benefit from understanding multiple perspectives and responsibilities. Royal duty and Commonwealth values both emphasize service to others, protection of the vulnerable, and commitment to justice. Those principles should complement rather than contradict each other. Ambassador Kane watched the exchange with growing confidence. His intelligence reports had suggested Captain Hayes possessed the emotional intelligence necessary for navigating royal complexities, but observing him respond to direct questioning confirmed those assessments. The Commonwealth needed this alliance to succeed on personal as well as political levels. Queen Helena recognized her daughter's strategy. By asking detailed questions about future scenarios, Lydia was simultaneously evaluating Captain Hayes' character and establishing parameters for their potential relationship. The princess was claiming agency within political necessity. The time factor remains critical, Morrison reminded everyone present. To Centauri intelligence suggests their territorial claims will be formalized within days. Any decision must account for that deadline. Daniel addressed the princess directly. Your Highness, I understand the pressure you're facing and the speed this decision requires. If you choose to accept this arrangement, I commit to spending whatever time we have before the ceremony getting to know each other better. Political marriage doesn't have to mean emotional isolation. His offer surprised the court with its consideration for her emotional welfare within strategic constraints. Prince Vex's representatives had focused entirely on political advantages and territorial gains, treating the princess as a valuable asset rather than a person with feelings and preferences. Lydia felt the moment crystallizing around her choice. The Commonwealth proposal offered genuine protection, respectful treatment, and the possibility of finding happiness within duty. Yet accepting meant abandoning any dreams of marrying for love rather than political necessity. Captain Hayes, she said finally, your honesty and respect have impressed me more than months of traditional courtship from other suitors. If I agree to this marriage, can you promise to remain the man you've shown yourself to be today, rather than someone transformed by proximity to royal power? Daniel met her eyes steadily. Princess Lydia, my word as a Commonwealth officer and as a man, I will strive every day to be worthy of your respect and trust. Power corrupts only those who sought it for selfish reasons. I never asked for this opportunity, and I won't let it change my fundamental values. The sincerity in his voice resonated through the throne room. Even skeptical courtiers recognized the contrast between his approach and the calculating ambition they typically encountered from marriage prospects. The princess had found someone offering partnership rather than conquest. Queen Helena realized the moment had arrived for her daughter's final decision. The kingdom's survival hung in the balance, but for the first time in months, that survival came with the possibility of personal happiness rather than guaranteed sacrifice. The weight of choice settled on Princess Lydia's shoulders as she prepared to speak words that would determine multiple futures. Princess Lydia drew herself to full regal height, her years of royal training evident in the composed dignity that settled over her features. The throne room held its collective breath as she prepared to announce the decision that would determine their kingdom's fate and her own destiny within it. Captain Hayes, she began, her voice carrying across the marble expanse with newfound authority. Your character and the Commonwealth's proposal offer my kingdom protection while preserving my personal dignity. After careful consideration, I accept your offer of marriage. The court erupted in barely contained murmurs of relief and surprise. Ambassador Kane's diplomatic composure couldn't quite hide his satisfaction at securing the alliance. Lord Chancellor Morrison immediately began calculating the ceremonial requirements for arranging a royal wedding within days rather than the months typically required for such momentous events. Daniel stepped forward with a respectful bow. Princess Lydia, I am honored by your trust and will spend every day proving worthy of it. May I request permission to present you with a token of commitment? The princess nodded, curious about what he might have prepared for such an unexpected proposal. Daniel reached into his uniform pocket and withdrew a simple platinum band set with a single blue stone that caught the throne room's light with unusual brilliance. This belonged to my grandmother, who married my grandfather during the colony wars, he explained. She always said it represented hope lasting through difficult times. The stone is Terran sapphire, mined from Earth before the orbital platforms. I thought perhaps it might serve as a bridge between our worlds. Lydia accepted the ring with genuine surprise. Unlike the elaborate jewelry typically associated with royal engagements, this piece carried personal history and emotional significance. The weight felt substantial in her palm, grounding her in the reality that this arrangement was becoming more than political convenience. Queen Helena descended from the throne for the first time during the proceedings, her maternal instincts overriding royal protocol. She approached her daughter and the Commonwealth captain, who would soon become part of their family through circumstances none of them could have anticipated. "Captain Hayes," the Queen said formally, "by accepting Princess Lydia's hand in marriage, you assume responsibilities extending far beyond personal happiness. The crown requires unwavering loyalty, discretion in matters of state, and the wisdom to support rather than overshadow royal authority. Do you understand and accept these obligations?" "Your Majesty, I do," Daniel replied without hesitation. "My military service prepared me for duty that puts others' welfare before my own. Marriage to Princess Lydia extends that commitment to include her happiness, your kingdom's prosperity, and the alliance between our peoples." Ambassador Kane stepped forward to address the practical requirements. Given the time constraints, the Commonwealth suggests conducting the ceremony within the week using a combination of your royal traditions and our diplomatic protocols. This will ensure both legal validity and symbolic significance for our respective populations. The suggestion sent Morrison into overdrive as he mentally inventoried the logistics required for a royal wedding on such short notice. Guest lists, security arrangements, ceremonial requirements, and media coordination typically took months to organize properly, yet the Centauri deadline left no alternative but to compress everything into days. Princess Lydia looked at the ring in her hand, then at the man who had offered it with such unexpected gentleness. "Captain Hayes, may I ask what you hope to find in this marriage beyond political necessity?" Daniel considered the question carefully before responding. "Princess, I hope to find partnership with someone I can respect and support. I hope our children will inherit the best qualities from both our backgrounds. Most importantly, I hope we can build genuine friendship and affection, even within the constraints that brought us together." His honesty about realistic expectations rather than romantic fantasies impressed her more than passionate declarations would have. Too many suitors had promised eternal love, without understanding either her responsibilities or their own limitations within royal marriage. Queen Helena placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Lydia, this decision shapes not only your life, but our kingdom's future. I have watched you handle every challenge with grace and intelligence. Trust that wisdom now as you enter this new chapter." The princess felt the combined weight of duty and possibility settling into her understanding. Captain Hayes offered genuine partnership within political necessity, respect instead of dominance, and the chance to find happiness through shared service rather than personal sacrifice. The Commonwealth Alliance provided security without requiring surrender of sovereignty. "Ambassador Kane," Lydia announced formally, "please inform your government that Princess Lydia of this realm accepts marriage to Captain Daniel Hayes of the Commonwealth Guard. We request immediate assistance in planning a ceremony that honors both our traditions and creates lasting bonds between our peoples." Kane bowed deeply. "Princess, it will be my honor to transmit your acceptance and coordinate the arrangements. The Commonwealth celebrates this alliance and looks forward to welcoming you as our partner in securing peace throughout this sector of the galaxy." Daniel approached the princess with appropriate royal protocol, but unmistakable warmth in his expression. "Princess Lydia, may I place the ring as a symbol of our commitment?" She extended her hand, watching as he carefully slipped the band onto her finger. The sapphire caught the throne room's light, creating small rainbows that danced across the marble floors. Something in that moment transformed political arrangement into personal promise, even within all the constraints surrounding them. The court witnessed history unfolding as centuries of tradition adapted to galactic necessity. The princess had chosen survival through alliance, but she had also chosen partnership over surrender. Captain Hayes had gained royal status while maintaining the character that made him worthy of it. Queen Helena watched her daughter's face and recognized something she had feared was lost forever. Hope tempered with realism, duty balanced with choice, and the possibility that political marriage might become genuine partnership. The kingdom had found protection without sacrificing dignity. The throne room gradually resumed normal activity as courtiers dispersed to handle the massive organizational requirements for a royal wedding within days. Ambassador Kane initiated communications with Commonwealth leadership, while Morrison began coordinating with the palace staff for unprecedented logistics. Princess Lydia remained beside her future husband, both of them understanding that their real work was just beginning. The ceremony would formalize their alliance, but building a successful marriage within such extraordinary circumstances would require patience, wisdom, and mutual respect extending far beyond political convenience. The afternoon sun streamed through the throne room's stained glass windows, casting colored patterns across the marble where two young people had just committed to sharing an uncertain but hopeful future. The kingdom's survival was assured, and perhaps if they were fortunate, genuine happiness might grow from seeds planted in necessity. The days following the engagement announcement transformed the palace into controlled chaos, as staff worked tirelessly to arrange a royal wedding that would normally require months of preparation. Princess Lydia found herself swept along in a whirlwind of ceremonial decisions while simultaneously trying to understand the man she had agreed to marry under such extraordinary circumstances. Captain Hayes had been assigned quarters near the royal wing, a compromise between honoring his new status and maintaining propriety until the ceremony. The princess appreciated his understanding of palace protocol and his careful navigation of social situations that would have overwhelmed less adaptable personalities. His military background served him well. In an environment where precision and diplomacy were equally essential, the Commonwealth has transmitted the guest list for their delegation, Morrison announced during their morning briefing. Admiral Chen will represent military leadership, while Secretary Brennan handles diplomatic protocols. They've also requested permission for a small honor guard to participate in the ceremony. Queen Helena reviewed the documents with growing satisfaction. The Commonwealth was treating the wedding with appropriate gravity while respecting royal traditions. Their careful attention to ceremonial details suggested genuine commitment to making the alliance succeed on multiple levels beyond mere political convenience. Princess Lydia spent her afternoons meeting with Captain Hayes in the palace gardens, away from the constant activity of wedding preparations. These conversations allowed them to discover each other's personalities beneath the formal roles that had brought them together. She found him surprisingly well-read despite his military career, with interests extending from classical literature to stellar cartography. My grandmother insisted that soldiers needed intellectual pursuits to maintain perspective, Daniel explained as they walked among the flowering shrubs that had bloomed for centuries of royal celebrations. She said fighting was sometimes necessary, but thinking was always essential. I've tried to follow that advice throughout my service. The princess appreciated his thoughtful approach to complex issues and his ability to discuss topics ranging from galactic politics to artistic preferences without arrogance or condescension. Too many of her previous suitors had either patronized her intelligence or assumed she lacked interests beyond royal duties. Ambassador Kane coordinated between both governments while monitoring Centauri fleet movements that confirmed their intelligence regarding territorial expansion plans. The marriage timeline remained critical, as Prince Vex's representatives had begun making formal inquiries about the delayed wedding arrangements. Their increasing urgency suggested the Centauri suspected something had changed. Captain Hayes has adapted remarkably well to palace life, Morrison observed to the Queen during their private consultation. His military bearing commands respect from the household staff, while his courtesy handling of court protocols has impressed even our more traditional advisors. Queen Helena had noticed the same qualities during formal dinners, where Daniel demonstrated natural diplomatic instincts despite lacking formal training in royal etiquette. He understood when to speak and when to listen, how to support the princess without overshadowing her, and most importantly, how to contribute to conversations without claiming authority he hadn't earned. The wedding gown preparations presented particularly complex challenges as seamstresses worked around the clock to create something worthy of both royal tradition and historic significance. Princess Lydia insisted on incorporating Commonwealth symbols alongside royal emblems, a gesture that touched Daniel deeply when he learned of her thoughtfulness. She wants the ceremony to honor both your service and our alliance, the Queen explained to him during one of their private conversations. Lydia understands that this marriage represents more than personal union. She's determined to make it a foundation for lasting friendship between our peoples. Daniel felt the weight of that responsibility alongside his growing affection for the remarkable woman who was becoming his wife under such unusual circumstances. Her intelligence, compassion, and strength impressed him more each day, transforming what began as duty into something approaching genuine admiration and, he hoped, eventual love. The security arrangements required unprecedented coordination between royal guards, Commonwealth officers, and diplomatic protection teams. The ceremony would be broadcast throughout both governments' territories, making it a symbol of unity during increasingly dangerous times. Every detail needed perfection to reinforce the message of strength through alliance. 3 days before the wedding, Princess Lydia and Captain Hayes shared their most honest conversation yet during an evening walk through the palace's private courtyards. The stress of preparations and the magnitude of their commitment had stripped away much of the formal politeness that initially characterized their interactions. "Daniel," she said, using his first name for the first time, "I need to know that you understand what you're giving up by accepting this marriage. Royal life means constant scrutiny, limited privacy, and responsibilities that extend far beyond personal preferences. Are you truly prepared for that reality?" He stopped walking and faced her directly. "Lydia, my military service already taught me about sacrificing personal freedom for greater purposes. The difference is that this sacrifice comes with the privilege of serving alongside someone I genuinely respect and admire. I'm not giving up my life. I'm choosing to share it with you." His honesty touched something deep in her heart that months of political maneuvering had nearly buried. The possibility that duty might include happiness rather than merely requiring its sacrifice offered hope she had stopped allowing herself to feel. Perhaps partnership within political marriage was possible after all. The final preparations intensified as both governments confirmed their highest-ranking officials would attend the ceremony. The symbolic importance extended beyond the immediate alliance to demonstrate stability and cooperation throughout the galaxy during a period of increasing Centauri aggression. Their marriage would make a statement heard across multiple star systems. The night before the wedding, Queen Helena visited her daughter's chambers for their last conversation before everything changed. They spoke as mother and daughter rather than monarch and heir, sharing fears and hopes that royal duty typically required them to suppress. "Tomorrow begins a new chapter for our kingdom and for you personally," the Queen said gently. "I believe you've chosen wisely, not just politically but personally. Captain Hayes will be a good husband and partner if you give him the chance." Princess Lydia felt the truth in those words as she prepared for the morning that would transform her entire existence. The uncertainty ahead seemed less daunting with the knowledge that she faced it alongside someone who respected her strength rather than trying to diminish it. Tomorrow would bring not just political alliance, but perhaps the beginning of genuine happiness within duty. The wedding morning dawned with crystalline clarity that seemed to bless the historic ceremony about to unfold. Palace staff had worked through the night to ensure every detail reflected the gravity of an alliance that would reshape relationships throughout the galaxy. The throne room had been transformed into something magical while maintaining the dignity appropriate for such momentous occasions. Princess Lydia stood before her mirror as her attendants made final adjustments to the gown that had consumed the palace seamstresses for days. The dress combined traditional royal elements with subtle Commonwealth symbols, creating something entirely new while honoring both backgrounds. The Terran sapphire engagement ring sparkled against the silk as she smoothed imaginary wrinkles from the fabric. Queen Helena entered the chamber dressed in her most formal regalia, the crown jewels catching morning light streaming through the tall windows. Mother and daughter shared a moment of understanding that transcended their royal roles, acknowledging both the sacrifice and opportunity this day represented for their kingdom and their family. "The Commonwealth delegation has arrived," the Queen announced formally. Admiral Chen brought a ceremonial sword as their gift to Captain Hayes, while Secretary Brennan presented documentation confirming Princess Lydia's status as an honored ally of the Commonwealth. Their respect for our traditions has been exemplary throughout these preparations. The princess felt a flutter of nervous anticipation mixed with genuine excitement. These emotions surprised her after months of dreading her eventual political marriage. Captain Hayes had somehow transformed duty into possibility, creating space for happiness within necessity rather than requiring its complete abandonment. Ambassador Kane coordinated the final security checks as guests representing multiple star systems took their places in the throne room. The ceremony would be broadcast live throughout Commonwealth territories and the kingdom's networks, making it a symbol of unity during increasingly dangerous times. The Centauri had confirmed their awareness of changed circumstances but remained mysteriously silent about their response. Daniel waited in the antechamber beside the throne room, his Commonwealth dress uniform displaying ribbons earned through genuine service rather than political favor. Admiral Chen had personally delivered the ceremonial sword that morning, along with confirmation that the Commonwealth viewed this marriage as more than diplomatic convenience. The captain represented their values as much as their strategic interests. Lord Chancellor Morrison reviewed the combined ceremony one final time, ensuring seamless integration of royal traditions with Commonwealth customs. The service would begin with traditional monarchist elements before incorporating Commonwealth commitments to democratic principles and shared governance. Their union would symbolize cooperation between different systems of government. The processional music began precisely at noon, filling the throne room with harmonies that had accompanied royal celebrations for centuries. Princess Lydia took her father's place at the Queen's arm, walking slowly toward the altar where Captain Hayes waited with unmistakable anticipation and something approaching awe at the beauty approaching him. The assembled dignitaries rose as one, their formal recognition of the moment's historic significance creating an atmosphere of reverence that transcended political calculations. Representatives from dozens of worlds witnessed an alliance forming through personal commitment rather than mere strategic necessity. The ceremony's emotional authenticity impressed even seasoned diplomats. Daniel watched Lydia approach with growing amazement at her grace and strength. The woman walking toward him represented everything admirable about leadership, combined with personal warmth he had come to appreciate during their brief courtship. His duty to the Commonwealth was transforming into genuine affection for the remarkable person he was privileging to call his wife. The officiant chosen from the kingdom's highest religious authority began the ceremony with words that acknowledged both the political importance and personal significance of the union about to be formalized. His voice carried across the throne room with dignity that elevated the moment beyond mere diplomatic theater to genuine spiritual commitment. We gather today to witness not merely the joining of two individuals, but the formal alliance between peoples who share common values of justice and commitment to peace through strength, the officiant announced. Princess Lydia and Captain Hayes stand before us as representatives of their respective societies, but also as two young people choosing to build a future together. The vows they exchanged combined traditional promises with personal commitments that reflected their unique circumstances. Princess Lydia pledged to honor Captain Hayes as both husband and ally, while Daniel promised to support her royal duties while maintaining the character that made him worthy of her trust. Their words carried conviction that impressed everyone present. The ring exchange drew particular attention as Daniel placed a second band beside the engagement ring. This one carved with Commonwealth symbols matched by a ring Lydia gave him bearing royal emblems. The symbolism of their intertwined commitments resonated throughout the throne room and beyond to watching populations who needed hope during uncertain times. Ambassador Kane observed the ceremony with satisfaction that extended beyond successful diplomacy. The genuine affection developing between the bride and groom suggested their marriage would provide stability lasting far beyond immediate political needs. Personal happiness within duty offered the strongest foundation for enduring alliance. Queen Helena watched her daughter's face throughout the ceremony, noting the peace that had replaced months of anxiety about her forced marriage to Prince Vex. Captain Hayes had somehow given Lydia agency within political necessity, transforming obligation into choice and duty into partnership. The final pronouncement declaring them married sent cheers through the throne room and celebration throughout both territories. Princess Lydia and Captain Hayes, now Prince Daniel through marriage, faced their subjects as partners in an alliance that promised hope during dangerous times while proving that duty and happiness could coexist. Their first dance as married partners took place in front of hundreds of witnesses, but they moved as though alone in the world, taking the first steps of a journey that would test everything they had promised each other and their peoples.